Hello everyone, this is Tina with Tia's Treasures. Today I have a quick unboxing of the Hero Arts 2022 November kit. And November 2022. Doesn't have a name, so let's just get to it. As you can see, these are mostly like, you could use them as tags or ornaments, or you can put them on a card, but they're going to be round dies. Oh no, I have garbage on my desk. Go figure. So starting off, we have some really pretty red ribbon. We have a stamp set with a few sentiments. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, warm wishes, a to and a from, a heart, snowflake, little ampersand, a couple of ampersands. How about that? So, yep, we will use that. We get a lovely sequin mix, which is full of little stars and snowflakes. And let's take a look at that. It's like gorgeous. Got some tiny ones and then these bigger ones there. Definitely have to do at least a shaker. Not more. We get 10 sheets of this white Hero Arts paper. How do I know it's 10? Because 10 sheets of white cardstock. So you can use it if you wanted card bases, cut it in half, whatever you want to do. It's 5.5 by 8.5. We have dies. Look at those. Those are going to be great. Get a circle, some, looks like greenery, some stars, a few snowflakes, definitely holly berries, little snow there, a little steeple, a deer, little tree. What is that? Fox, cat, something. I don't know, some sort of little animal. Some pine cones. Anyway, we're going to have some fun with that. And we also get 6 acetate sheets. Like I said, definitely shaker we're going to have to do. And I have 2 add-ons. I bought this clear stamp set that has the sentiments to the 12 Days of Christmas, along with the numbers and the little guys like, you know, partridge, 5 golden rings, swans swimming, you know, lady dancing, a piper piping. I always thought this could come in handy like a lot for almost any card. Like if I had a parrot or a partridge die, you know, you get your partridge in a pear tree. So I just bought this so I would always have all of the words and numbers. And then I got this hot foil plate with all these little snowflakes. I think this is going to be really pretty on the back of some cards. So, anyway, that is the Hero Arts kit. And I didn't mention it, but they always now come in these great little mesh bags that hold everything together really nice. So, let's go make some cards or some tags or some ornaments or whatever hits my fancy. And, yeah, so let's do it. So starting out here, I went ahead and I got everything ready. I don't know what exactly I'm doing yet, but I cut out a bunch of tags and some old, some tags actually from some old backgrounds that I did that I just had sitting around, and I pulled them out and said, hey, these would work on some tags. I didn't know what I was going to do with them. So we've got all these different dies, and I went ahead and cut out greenery, and I just used every single one and cut out every single one, and that way I figured when I get started I can just go ahead and go from there. Now these little poinsettias, I put some yellow jewels in the center. I did a lot of paper piecing. You can see the little star on the tree there, and I've got like I used some gold cardstock. I've went ahead and I paper pieced berries on these, just so I had to cut it out of red and green, and then it was really easy to do, just follow the lines. And basically, yeah, so I also went ahead and heat embossed some sentiments, Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas. I think I heat embossed a couple other ones, but they didn't turn out. I used some Nouveau embossing powder, because the Hero Arts embossing powder, the blue was the same color, but it had like white sprinkled in it, and I didn't care for it as much. So the Nouveau I ended up using more of. So, anyhow, that's what I did to get us started. Like I said, don't know what I'm going to do at this point. I also did foil using some opalescent foil and some silver foil. I did the snowflakes. And I also took this plate, and because it's got a back like they do for the reverse foil, I did try using it to reverse foil, just turning it upside down. Now, I didn't get a great impression, but I'm not sure if that was me or if it was the plate. I'm gonna have to experiment a bit more with it to see if it works, because I don't want to spend money on the hot foil plate if I don't have to. So anyhow, yeah, I think we're going to start with the opalescent foiled background, and we're going to do a shaker. So I go ahead and I line up my little die in the center of my card panel, which I cut down to 4 by 5 1/4, I believe. And I cut the circle out. I just eyeballed it, obviously. I didn't like line it up to make sure it was exactly in the center, but it looks pretty good to me. And I put a bit of washi tape behind the little tag hole, so I didn't have a hole in the actual circle. You can see it, but I don't care. You know, I just didn't want a hole there because I was not going to use it as a tag. So I went ahead and I'm using some craft tacky glue, and I am gluing this in the center. I'm using my my card there, the blue, as a little frame, so I know exactly where to put it in the back. And I am just gluing that down. And so I've got that where I want it, and I'm going to take some of this, I think it's Hefty Doodle tape, and I am going to use that. It's a nice thick tape for shaker cards, and I put 2 pieces of it down on either side there. It's I think 1/4 inch wide, so it's almost perfect, and it's got like 3 mm deep. So like I said, it's a nice deep tape, and I'm going through it a little quicker than I want because I just tend to use it for shakers now. And this is about the point right here where I realized that, oh no, I forgot to put my acetate down. So I'm using some Simon Says Stamp tape runner, which, you know, this stuff fights me a lot. It doesn't come out nice and smooth. I have to kind of fight with it. But I'm putting it down because I'm going to put the acetate right in the middle of those 2 strips of it. Foam tape. Why did my mind just go? And so I do that. And now I am continuing to put my little foam tape down there. And I took off the backing of the 2 going around the circle there. It makes it a lot easier to form it and to get it to go exactly where I want it to be. And I'm just kind of fiddling with it, and I get a little extra little piece I'm trying to stick in there. And then I am going to take a few other pieces to prop up my card front there, because we don't want it sagging in the mail. And now I am just going to take off all the release tape or release paper. And the magic of editing, you didn't have to sit through it. And I'm taking the sequin mix and Snowflake sequin mix that came with the kit, and I am just dumping some out in the middle. I find it easier to do this way other than trying to line up my white card base, you know, when I can't really see what I'm doing. And so I just put a big pile in the center there. And now I'm going to stand up. You're not going to see me stand up, but I'm going to stand up to try to get a good look at how to put this down. So I'm making sure it's even. And I do a fairly good job of it for a change, but it does take me a few extra seconds to get it exactly where I want. It seemed like things kept shifting on me. And I eventually, for once, get it down exactly where I want it, which doesn't happen too often. Usually I'm off to one side or up or down and you can see the white around, but this time it turned out pretty good. So I'm going ahead and I'm taking the Heat and Boss sentiment, Merry Christmas, so we're just going to glue that down at the bottom. Again, using my Craft Techie glue. I've got like 2 or 3 bottles of this stuff. I've got a lot of adhesive sitting around though. You don't see the half of it. My gosh. So I get that down and I decide I need something else. So I pull in some ribbon. I think this might be Stamps of Life ribbon, which matches this cardstock perfectly because I think it's Stamps of Life cardstock. And it's a nice weight cardstock. I love it. And she's got some beautiful colors. And so I am just going to tape this down using some glue dots. And I always like to put like 5 glue dots down for my little bows. That way I get each of the bow and each of the tails down. And I usually use a little bit of liquid glue right in the center of the bow as well because I just want kind of double protection. But we get that all taped down or glued down, whatever you want to say. You can see me putting it under my little bows here, my little loops. And I get to show you me doing all 5 spots here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to, just so you're holding everything down. That way I don't have to worry about the bow coming untied either. I mean, I suppose if you really wanted to, you could probably pull it off of the glue dots, but why would you? And it wouldn't come off easily once it's been set there a while. And now I'm just rambling. But anyhow, this was card number 1, and I think it turned out pretty cute. I still have to go back and put a sentiment in the inside. I haven't done that yet because it all depends who I send it to, what sentiment they get. Snarky or nice. It depends. So for this second card, I'm going to use the silver foil background, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do on the card yet. So you see me kind of messing with different things, going, should I put a gray tag in the center of it? Or, at this point, I am not sure. And then I put this greenery down, and I'm like, I like the way that looks. And with the little bow, the red bow that also came in the kit, that's what I'm going to do. I am going to glue a little wreath right in the center of my snowflake. And I pop up the panel. And originally I put the foam tape on the wrong panel. I put it on the gray cardstock that I'm not even using, and I had to go back and put it on the snowflake cardstock. So I have a piece of gray cardstock now with foam tape on it that I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe another card someday. And I am just gluing down, putting a bunch of glue all over my wreath here. Now this is kind of sped up double time. It's just twice as fast as in real life. So I'm not actually this quick with the glue, but I still did kind of go quick with the glue because I knew it would dry clear. So if we get a little overage, it was no big deal. And I am putting more glue on my bow, and I decided to put the bow on the top of the wreath. Originally I think I was looking at the bottom, but nah. So I bring in some little bitty jewels from my stash. I think I bought these on Amazon a long time ago. And I am just putting them in groups of 3 to look like little red berries on the wreath. Now I could have doubled up the greenery on this wreath, but I think I liked it just the way it was. And it was a little bit easier this way, and I didn't have to worry about it looking, overdone. And I am going to use the sentiment Happy Holidays, and I decide to glue that right in the center of the wreath. And I consider this card finished. Again, I have to go back and put a sentiment on the inside. But that's it. We already have little jewels for sparkle in the foil, so I think it turned out pretty cute. Now we're moving on to the tags. And with all of these tags, I glued a piece of 130-pound cardstock on the back of them to make them a little bit more hefty. I believe the blue cardstock's about 100 pound. Like I said, it's a nice weight, but I like my tags to be a little sturdier, and then you can use them on the tree if you want. Now for this tag, I decided that I was going to bring in the greenery with the red berries. You know, I was kind of just debating different things, debating whether I wanted to go with the snowdrift there or the little poinsettias. And at this point, I'm still fiddling with it, and that's when I decide just to use this piece right here. And I'm going to just glue it coming down from the little hole. Now, I throw in my little red ribbon there, but you're going to see that I decide to hoard that. It's too pretty. I bring in some different ribbon. But I am stamping the to and from on the back of this tag. And I am going to use blue, Reactive Early Dawn ink from Hero Arts for this color. It's from a previous card kit. I've got like a lot of inks, little ink cubes from Hero Arts that I got from all their little card kits, and I put them in these little Tim Holtz containers. But this blue is a really good match for the embossing that I've been doing as well. So it just works out really nice. And I am looking at my desk going, where is that tag that I did? I don't know what I did with that the tag that we're working on right now. It disappeared off my desk. Oh, here it is. Never mind. I found it in all my mess. But yeah. So again, I'm using the Craft Tacky Glue. When I do these voiceovers, I like to have the pieces that I'm showing you in front of me. And I did have this tag in front of me, but then I set the Hero Ink tin on top of it. I had to look all over for it. So I have the Heat Emboss Sentiment Merry Christmas, and I decide that I'm going to fussy cut it. And again, editing, boom, there it is, fussy cut. Not very well, but it is fussy cut. And some of this stuff I cut out because I showed it off camera. When I'm in my zone working, I'm not always really good about making sure I keep everything in camera view. And the funny thing is that I have got it taped off on my glass mat where the camera is hitting, so I will be able to keep things in camera view, and I still don't always pay close enough attention. So here's the little ribbon that I brought in. It's, I believe, like 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit thinner. And it's a silky ribbon from Tonic. And I just figured it would go through the hole in the center of these tags better, because it is a tinier hole. I could have brought a hole punch out and got a bigger hole to use that beautiful Hero Arts ribbon, but I didn't. I just figured I had this other red ribbon, I was going to use it. And I actually went through all of it, which, you know, for me who likes to hoard stuff, that's an achievement. So for this second tag, I took the Snowflake background. I'm going to show you the die at the end of this. I actually inserted, not the die, the stamp I used to get that background. But anyhow, I've got a little stain on this snowdrift, so I just flipped it over because you couldn't tell actually which side was the side I was supposed to use anyway. So I flipped over, and I'm again trying to decide what I want to put on my little scene. I'm going to make a little scene, and I'm determined to use the big Christmas tree with the gold star. But I've also got the little church with the steeple and the little house that I went ahead and paper pieced some gold into the windows and the door, and I just used some washi tape to hold it there. And so I am just kind of arranging things, and the tree is not exactly in scale to the church, But, I mean, these are tags. They're not real life. So it doesn't really have to matter. You can just imagine that the tree is closer to you if you want. So I glue these down. And I'm thinking with this background, it is beautiful. I don't know what color ink I used on this background because I made this background probably a year or two ago. I've had it for quite a while, and that's why when I finally decided to use it on a tag, it was perfect. And here I've got another little tree I decide because I just think there's too big of a space between the big tree and the little bitty house there. So I bring in another little tree. It's a slightly different color than the big tree. And we're just going to glue that down. And it's just, it turns out pretty well. If I ever get it down, which I do. Man, this month is just going by so quick. So I stamp Happy Holidays on the back of this, but I do it all off camera, so I just kind of edit that out because you don't need to see me not do anything. And I am tying this up with another red ribbon. And you can see the Happy Holidays that I used Blue Hawaii ink on this one. And here is the bold print stamp that I used from Hero Arts. And it's one of those stamps that I'm going to show you that the white space is the snowflakes. So you have to use a lot of ink on the background to get it to look the way you want it. And I didn't know that when I bought it, but you know, it's fine. So moving on to this piece of embossed paper that I've had a couple years as well. And I am just using that for this third tag that we're doing. And I'm, again, trying to decide what would look best on it. And I decide that I really like the way this foil looks, this silver holographic foil star. It's just so pretty. I did one in gold and then the silver holographic paper. And I could have used both of them, but I didn't want it to be overdone. And so I glued it all down there. And I am going to use the sentiment Merry Christmas. But I decide again, I need to fussy cut that. Not well, but fussy cut all the same. And I use the little red poinsettias. Now I'm looking at this tag here on my desk, and I notice I missed one of the you know how when you have a die cut, you poke out all the little pieces. I forgot to poke out one of the pieces here between two stars. So I don't know, if I move my hand, you might be able to see where it's at. I'm going to have to work on that and see if it comes out. But anyhow, if it doesn't, it's still a cute looking tag. If I didn't notice it, I'm sure whoever gets the tag's not going to notice it either. So I glue down the two little flowers on this, and I end up not putting anything on the back of this tag. But you can see the ribbon that I'm using there from Tonic, Craft Perfect. And I think I might have got this from a Tonic craft kit of one sort or another. I don't get the Tonic kits anymore. If you like to do a lot of die work, I would recommend the Tonic kits. They come with a lot of dies every month in a little folder. You always get a lot of Nuvo supplies as well. But I found I was collecting those kits without ever using them. So now I've got like 3 or 4 folders full of the dies. I get way too much stuff without using it. So for this last tag, I am using the Partridge or the 12 Days of Christmas. And I went ahead and I heat embossed either Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas on the back of these cards. I'm going to show you the one I did for the Partridge in the Pear Tree. And I used alternating silver or gold cardstock for these, and I'll show you at the end. But here I am trying to get that number 1 to stay, and I cut out a lot of it because it probably took me a good 2 minutes. It kept sticking to my pick or my fingers, and these little bitty stamps sometimes are the worst for that. And I kept getting my head in the way as well, so that's why I cut out a lot of that footage of me fiddling with it. And so we've got the number 1, the little stamp with the partridge, and then the saying, partridge in a pear tree. And I am going to stamp that out with silver embossing powder. I'm using Nuvo silver embossing powder. And, you know, use what you got. That's what I always say. I think I have some Simon Says silver and some Nuvo. And I figured I was working with Nuvo, so I just stick with it. And I just figured I would heat emboss silver on the gold cardstock and gold on the silver cardstock. So the gold embossing powder I used, which you don't see me use at all, is Brutus Monroe Gilded. Now I am making these into little ornaments, and if I had to do it again, I think I would have cut 3 or 4 of the white pieces of cardstock, the 130 pound, to make it a lot thicker. I mean, these will hold up just fine, but I did want them as ornaments instead of tags, so I would have at least put a few extra pieces of cardstock. I mean, I still could go back and untie everything, but if you've learned anything about me, I can be a little bit of a lazy crafter at times, and that's just too much work, because these were a lot of work. These took me like 3 days to do. When I started working on these, I thought I'd get them done in a night and then be able to finish my video, but it took me a long time to do 12 of these tags, and you'll see why. Because, you know, everything I did on all of these tags, it's kind of mirrored on all 12. I did all 12 days of Christmas. So I am gluing down my little wreath here. And when I started, I did think about using 2 of the die cuts, again, to make it a little bit more, put more greenery on there. But in the end, one was enough, because I figured by the time we get all the ribbon on here, and I'm going to use the little red jewels that I have in my stash. Now you're going to see I use a big jewel, a medium-sized jewel, and a small jewel, because this plastic sheet was about full when I started, and I found I started to run out, so I had to, you know, make it work. And I like the way it turned out. So I have got some red and white baker's twine that I use to put through the tag. And I tie a little knot and I get that going. And now I have these glue dots. You can see the ones I'm using. They're from Fun Stamper's Journey. I know they're from Spellbinders, but I don't know where I got them. They just showed up. I have a lot of stuff that does that in my stash. I think it multiplies at night, or maybe Santa brings it, I don't know. But I am putting little red bows at the top of my my little ornaments here, and I'm using a glue dot and liquid glue. Now here is the all 12 tags. You can see that they're in silver or gold, and this just took way more time than I thought it was. I'm going to end up, I think I'm going to put these in a gift tin and give them all to my daughter. We gave her our old Christmas tree this year, and we got a skinnier one, and the one I gave her is a very, very fat, and so she could use more ornaments. So this would be a nice filler in until she gets more. So here I'm showing you these little bells that I originally wanted to use on my tags, and they're little cute things, and I tied up 2 of them on my tag originally, and then I was looking at it. Now if you get offended, plug your ears, but I'm looking at it and I decide they look like I gave my little ornament testicles. And so I don't have enough to put 3 on every tag, and 1 would look dumb, so I just decided to pull them off. I think the bells would look cute, maybe one if I used them with like Tim Holtz tags, or not his tags, his little bells. Mix them up with that. So anyhow, here are the tags and my cards, which turned out beautifully, I think. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me so much. I'm trying to build my audience a bit more. Or I would love to have you as a subscriber. If you already subscribed, thank you. But anyhow, bye-bye for now, everyone. Love y'all.